Beginners in the eliminating the high roller. All start preparing your decks. Players come back to your seats. Your tournament restarts in less than 1 minute. Okay, beginners in our high roller, going back to lines 300, 600, 600, shuffle up and deal, please. Players, you have 3 more levels for entries and re-entries. Entries close, end of level 1.
Players in the main event, got about 5 minutes left and ready. If you wish, you're more than welcome to go ahead and start making your way to your tournament area at this time. Once again, 5 minutes till we kick off the main event. Tournament players in that main event, if you are on the feature table, your table and chips have been moved to table number 3, table number 4. If you were on table number 3 prior to dinner break, your chips and table have been moved to the feature table. if you have chips racked up, the dealers are going to be switching those out for you in exchange for the 100K chips. Players, 60 seconds till we resume play. Please go ahead and start making it back. Dealers, prepare those decks.
Gentlemen, if you're on the feature table, we need your phones and electronic devices in the bin. If you have any drinks, you're more than welcome to leave them on one of the tables on the outside of the black area. So let me know. Is this evening tonight?
Tournament players in the main event, welcome back from your break. You players are coming back at 10,000, 20,000 with a 1,000 big blind hand. Shot level deal. 10, 20, 20. Tournament dealers put in the end.
Go ahead, Julian. Whenever they're ready.
Just a reminder, we will have a 3-table redraw when we get down to 24 players remaining. 24 players remaining, we will do a 3-table redraw.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are suitably refreshed from the dinner break. Brand new feature table for you here on stream. As you can see in the top right of your graphics, 31 players remaining here in the International Poker Open Main Event Day 2. Right off the bat, I will stop my various ruminations. Ray Wheatley opens with 9s under the gun, and Mihail under the gun 1 reshoves for 13 bigs. Looks like we are going to be off to the races here immediately. Reshove from Mihail, 260k. Ray Wheatley, very experienced player. 13 big blinds. Gonna need a pretty good reason to lay this one down. Of course, early position versus early. Probably gonna give Mihail a stronger range than some other positions at the table, but would expect him to make this call. Ray in the tank is for around about 40% of his remaining chips. Doesn't look happy. Of course, these players will have been playing on the outer tables. Can factor into these decisions. Ray makes the call, as we would expect. Here we go, straight off the bat here, back from dinner break. Pocket 9s of Ray Wheatley against Mihail. 570k in the middle. We are involved in a big flip. Last 4 tables of the main. Deuce, 3, 10 with 2 diamonds. Pocket 9 still good. 7 on the turn. Mihail gonna need one of the remaining aces or jacks. River is the queen of clubs. We lose Mihail. First hand of this new table. Ray Wheatley pulls in the chips. Closes in on that 1 million chip mark. We are down to 30 players here in the main. For anybody just joining us on YouTube, or those who have been there throughout, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Andrew Headley, your commentator here at the IPO this week. Have had a few issues with the broadcast. Hope you guys are hearing us loud and clear. Full stream coverage and highlights will be posted later on. Did have a crazy amount of action the previous couple of hours on our feature table. Without wanting to give spoilers, you will not want to miss one hand in particular. Take you through the lineup of players here on feature. Seat 1, we have Colm Higgins. Seat 2, we have Mr. Barry Carter, who joined me in the booth yesterday. Did say he was going to hop into the mega hyper turbo flight this morning. Got himself through. In your picture, there is Barry, and has ground himself up to 830k. Seat 3 is Barry Moore. Seat 4, David Lyons. Seat 6, Raymond Wheatley, who you just saw win the big flip with the 9s. And Joe O'Donnell rounding out the lineup in seat 8. Barry here getting way out of line. 3-betting the 4-5 off against Barry. Does get it through. Have seen Barry Moore be incredibly aggressive, taking some holdings that other players would not use, and using them aggressively. Gets another 3-bet through with the 4-5 off. Of course, tough for Barry Carter to defend there with ace-9 suited. Down to 30 players, going to have to be fairly tight defending against 3-bet. We see our floorman wait to bring another player over to the feature. You're going to be here, guys, for the next 3 levels. Then we will be back for live coverage tomorrow on Monday. And I will be taking you through all the way to crowning our champion of the 2023 IPO. See cards back in the air. Raise from Barry in the hijack with the ace-jack. David content to call in position on the button. Did see David with a lot of chips earlier on the feature table. Does find himself short now, 15 bigs behind. 9-8-3 with 2 hearts. Ace-jack still good. Barry with 2 overs and the backdoor nut flush draw decides just to set David in. And you can see this is going to get it done. Barry aware the button not going to have many pocket pairs that could connect with this board. Hands like 10s, jacks, 8s and 9s very likely going to be all in pre. Decides just to jam and deny equity. Takes it down. Barry, of course, co-author with Mr. Darrow O'Kearney of several very successful poker strategy books. Of course, wish Barry the best of luck after joining me in the booth yesterday on CoComs. Colm Higgins with the ace-7 of clubs opens under the gun.
hand dealers in the main event. Complete the hand you're on and hold up.
Round 2, Ray Wheatley on the button. Does look like a 3-bet. New grey chips in play, guys. They are 100k. Makes it 110k to go. It'll be very difficult for Column to continue here. It does release. So Ray Wheatley starts very strongly here on feature, winning that flip with the 9s, and now gets the 3-bet through up to 1 million in chips. Room in the Bonnington Hotel here in Dublin. Buzzing, almost as buzzing as Barry. Pocket aces under the gun 1. Very aggressive image. Of course, gonna open. Looks like 60k. Interesting. Goes for a larger opening size, 3x. And Damien here has been coolered. Pocket 10s, 7 bigs. Nothing to do but send the chips into battle, and he is going to be in terrible shape. Unfortunately for Damien, is at 4-1 underdog. Going to need one of the remaining 10s in the deck. Flop comes King Jack 6. No good for the 10s. Gonna need some kind of backdoor straight draw or one of the remaining 2 10s in the deck. No help. Needs the 10 of clubs or 10 of hearts. No good. Queen of diamonds, river. Unfortunate for Damien. 7 bigs, pocket 10s, always sending the chips in. Barry continues to accumulate chips up to 1.8 million. Guys, we are down to 30 players. 794 players started the IPO this year. 103 paid. As you can see, we are actually down to 28. All remaining players still in contention, guys. 45,000 euros for the win. Barry opens with ace-9 of clubs under the gun. Another large open size. Makes it a little over 3x. Joe calling on the button with ace-queen of hearts. Barry Carter content to complete with pocket 3s in the big blind. 3-way to the flop. Jack 4-8. Pocket 3s of Barry still good. Barry Carter, I should say. Of course, can't know it. Big c-bet size here of 140k from the ace-9 of clubs. Looks like it's going to get the job done. Barry Moore continues to impress. Gets 2 better hands to fold. The new player here on the feature table in seat 6 are now down to the final 4 tables. David now dealing with 14.5 bigs. Action folds round to Barry Carter in the small, is going to give a walk. Understandably so, 7-3 off. Is on our new player under the gun. Desmond working with 26 bigs, gets out of the way. Round to Barry on the button, Queen 10 of spades.
We got 10 minutes and 57 seconds left. The level, seat 6 is
makes it 40k to go.
back at 10,000 and 20,000.
David decides just to fold the 6-4.
All right, dealers, shuffle of a deal. 10, 20, 20. Fire them up.
Folding round to Joe, working with 1 million, folds the ace-9. Excuse me, does not fold. Looked like he was reaching to lay them down, does eventually do so. Colm Higgins in the hijack with the jack-9 of clubs. David in the small does continue to peel off the short stack. Could have considered a reshove. Perhaps thinks doesn't have a huge amount of fold equity. Does make the call with Queen 10. Does work out well so far. Flops top pair. Queen 6-4. Colm decides to try a small c-bet. Look to fold out. Some hands like a king jack, king 10 that could potentially peel the small. Of course, not going to be too many hands that fold. 8 of diamonds turn. Colm does turn a gut shot. 160k in the middle. Dangerous waters. Colm continues to fire. It's 40k. David here with just a pot behind. Of course, not going to fold, just debating whether to ship it now. Does send the chips in. Colm frustrated that he didn't take the free card. Nice little chip up for David, back to 20 big blinds. action folds round to Barry. Finds the aces once again. Does it continue with this large open strategy? Makes it 65k. And wow, once again, finds a big hand behind. Desmond just calls. Very disciplined. Most players, I think, would reshove here against a cutoff open. We can see he is in terrible shape against the pocket aces of Barry. 10-5-4 rainbow. No help to the ace-queen. Barry lacing this flop. It's 150k. One of the drawbacks of using these large sizings. Not a huge fan of this play. You know, our hand is so invulnerable. Would much prefer to see a small sizing from Barry here. Allow some Broadway type holdings to float. Allow some of the weaker pocket pairs or sort of ace-5 suited types, if they're in there, to continue. He does continue to accumulate chips. Desmond there dodges a bullet. Not sure how he found the restraint. I would have sent the chips in pre and been out the door, as Barry chips up over 2 million. Action back on Colm Higgins under the gun. Those silver chips, guys, worth 100,000. Colm in for the min raise, 240k, working with 25 bigs. Action round 2. Ray Wheatley in the small, lets it go. Joe with the Jack-4 off, also lets it go in the big. You guys see in the top right corner of your screen, 28 players remaining. Field of just shy of 800 runners here at the Bonnington Hotel in Dublin. All 28 still in contention for the €45,000 first place prize. Round 2, Desmond in the cutoff. 10-8 of hearts. Does it let it go? Colm Higgins gets a walk. Be delighted to see it. 8-3 off. Barry once more under the gun. Another strong starting hand. Makes it 55k. David a little out of line here. Extremely wide peel with just Queen 10 off. Dicey waters. Working with sub 20 bigs. Of course, these guys have been at the same table for a large chunk of the day. David does flop a gut shot. He is in trouble. Barry with top pair, top kicker. Continues his relentless aggression. feature of Barry's play has been these extremely large c-bet sizings. David has to let go the gut shot. And 1 over. Barry continuing to steamroll the early going of this new feature table. This is the International Poker Open, guys, coming to you from the Bonnington Hotel in Dublin in partnership with our wonderful partners Unibet. The Unibet online series has just kicked off, guys, online. Runs for 3 weeks, October 29th to November 20th. 1 million euros guaranteed. 4 different leaderboards, 1 for each of the buy-in levels, and an overall leaderboard. So if you are getting in the mix this Sunday online, fire up Unibet, lots of value to be had. So we see David let go of Jack-9 suited. Joe in the cutoff, comes in for an open to 50k. The Jack-10 does get this one through. Action back on Desmond under the gun. Ray Wheatley with the ace-queen. Ray, very experienced player. Fixture of the Irish scene. Makes it 40k to go. Round to Barry Carter on the button. Is dominated. Does have a very playable ace-jack. Did see him commit chips. Unclear if they're calling or 3-betting chips. Does make the call. David completes with King 8. Ace Queen of Raymond still good. All 3 players check. Seven of spades on the turn. Ray still best. River is the 9 of clubs. Looks as if this one's gonna check to showdown. Barry considering turning his hand into a bluff. Does think better of it. Ray gonna take this down, be thrilled to do so with just ace high. Cards back in the air. Ray Wheatley in first position. Let's go off King 6, round to Joe. Does open Ace 5. Barry Carter, one more, peels in position. Has it the King Queen of Hearts? David has shoved. You can see in the small, pocket 7s. Has gone all in, 265k. Does get Joe out of the way. There will be a graphical error there. Column will not be in this pot pre. Back around to Barry Carter. King Queen of Hearts, very strong holding, 14 big blinds. In the tank. And Barry already committed 55k to this pot, and he has made the call. King, Queen of Hearts against the pocket 7s of David. Big pot here, 700k. David looking to get back into this tournament. 35 bigs in the middle. Big coin flip. No help for King Queen, 655. Deuce of spades on the turn. David looking to fade paint. The King of Diamonds on the river. Huge river for Barry Carter. Barry up to 1.2 million. Started day 2 with just 60k in chips. Managed to 20x that start stack. We lose David from the feature. 27 left now in the main event. Cards back in the air. Action on column, 25 big blinds. Does raise with the 7s. Round 2, Ray Wheatley in the big. King 4 off. Does let it go. Raise and take it for column. We have a dealer change here on the feature. Action back on column. Let's it go. Hold round 2. Desmond on the button. 18 big blinds. Suited ace-8. Choosing a very large open size. 65k. Action round 2, Joe with the 10-6. Let it go. Barry Carter folding under the gun. Round 2, our second Barry. Gonna raise with ace deuce, 55k. Column also getting out of the way.
This is the last level for entry and re-entry in the chip breaks. The last level for entry and re-entry. At the end of this level, you'll have a 20-minute break, folks. You will be chip breaks if you win your chips.
Back on Barry Moore. King 3 suited under the gun. Continuing the aggression. This time in for the min raise. Joe on the button. Ace-5 of spades. Is it going to continue? Gonna count out a 3-bet here. 105k to go. Very wide continue here from Barry facing 3-bet. Content to take 3. What a flop for the ace-5. Flops the nut flush draw. Joe bets 175k. This one is going to be done. Barry again showcasing he is here to win the tournament. Very aggressive, very capable. See Desmond under the gun, ace-7 off. And 21 here of this feature table. Does let it go. Round 2 column on the button. Barry in the small, gonna limp with queen 7. Barry Moore content to check with the dominated queen. Nine, deuce, eight, two clubs. Barry flopping a queen high flush draw, checks it over. 45k bet from Barry Moore. Gonna make the call, of course, with the overcard and club draw. Wow, very interesting turn. 10 of spades. Both players now with a flush draw. Barry Moore with the betting lead. Gonna continue the aggression. 130k, close to pot. Of course, Barry Carter with an open-ender and flush draw. River is the 7 of diamonds. Barry Carter is best. Of course, Barry Moore in the big. Knows he has to bluff and does snap find it. Very impressive there from Barry. Takes it down with just queen high. Very scary run out to bluff into. Gets the job done. And showcasing the power of aggression. Really getting after it here. Final 4 tables of the main event. As you guys see now, we are having a table redraw. I believe we are down to 3 tables. Just stick with us. Of course, players receive their new seat assignments. Stick with us for live coverage. We will be back very shortly.
tournament players in that main event, welcome back. We've got 10 minutes and 57 seconds left in the level. Seat 6 is where the button has been drawn. Lines will come back at 10,000 and 20,000 for the 20,000 big line. 10, 20, 20 tournament players. All right, dealers. Shuffle the deal. 10, 20, 20. Fire up.
What do you got, Colin? 555?
All right, ladies and gents, 3-table redraw is complete. As you see our new lineup of players, we are playing 8-handed. You can ignore the graphic in the top right of your screen. We are down to 24 here in the IPO main event. Action folds around to Barry Moore on the button. Fearsome player. We have seen one of the most aggressive players at the table of any table. Opens to 3x, 60k to go. Gonna take this one down pre. Cards are back in the air. You can see there in seat 4, Johnny McCulloch. Very experienced and very capable high-level young Irishman. Joining us on the short stack though, gonna have some work to do. It's John, ace, king off, under the gun 1. Folds round to the button. Brian gets out of the way. Column with Queen Jack has been a feature of this feature table. Some large open size-ins over 3x. Column recognizing that the price is not right to defend. Of course, as we approach the final table, players are going to defend a lot tighter than earlier in the tournament. 3% of the field remaining. We did start with 794 runners here at the Bonnington in Dublin. 2023 edition of the International Poker Open. This is the main event. Action in the room still buzzing. They have the €550 high roller, €220 chip race tournament, and there is a 110 PKO also in the mixer. Full house. We are focusing on the main event. I am your commentator, Andrew Headley. We'll be here with you guys for the next few hours. Going to play 3 more levels for the players back up for the final day. As Christopher sends it from the button, Queen 5 of hearts, all in for 7 bigs. Column in the small with King 9. Very borderline. Would call with this hand, I think, from the big. Let's get out of the way. Christopher picking up some well-needed chips. Takes down 50k without showdown. Action on Johnny McCulloch under the gun. Round to Brian in the hijack, gets rid of King 7 of spades. See a limp from Daniel with King 8. John decides to isolate with Ace 3. Can go either way. Check backs here at 30 bigs. Do give you some nice coverage on ace high boards. Does decide to raise. Daniel, of course, gonna complete with King 8 of clubs. Flop is Queen, Queen 4 rainbow. Ace high of John, still good. Very interesting. Oh, sorry, I thought Daniel had led. My apologies. John takes it down from the big with a small bet. Blinds currently 10 and 20,000 with a 20k ante. 50k in play every hand. We see Pablo under the gun with the 10-6. Barry Moore with King 6 of spades. Continues his relentless aggression. We, of course, have seen just how fruitful it's been for Barry. Lots of players playing a pretty tight opening range. John not going to be going anywhere here with ace queen, makes the call. 80 bigs deep makes a lot of sense here to play a small one pre. Don't want to play an inflated pot here against the only player at the table that covers you. John makes the call. King, Queen 8, both players flop a piece. Top pair for Barry. Middle pair and the backdoor nut flush draw for John. Barry comes with half pot. Very easy check call for John. Does improve 2-2 pair. Checks it over to Barry. Is it gonna barrel? I think one of the drawbacks of this relentlessly aggressive style. Not too sure what bet and large achieves here for Barry. course, never gonna fold out a better hand. Hands like Jack 10 get there, Ace Queen, Ace Jack, Ace 10 all improve. Barry does decide to barrel with his king. River is the 4 of diamonds. John now deciding to lead himself for value. That's 1/3, 220k. Barry gonna let it go. Nice pickup for John. Perhaps would have been best served to check it over. Induce some light value bets or bluffs from Barry. In any case, nice pot of 800k for John. Back on Barry Moore under the gun. Round 2, Christopher on the short stack. Round to Johnny with King 9, 13 bigs. May it be time to pump it. Has Pablo on his left with the big stack. Very interesting, Johnny decides to limp. Pablo with the Jack 3. Does have one of the combos that could decide to isolate. Are going to raise some of our trash, but checks it back. Johnny still best with King High. Action goes check, check. Pablo now does improve to bottom pair. Attempt to check it back. Is going to win this hand at showdown if Johnny doesn't bet. Can't imagine he's going to do so with just a king. Going to get the bad news. 60k precious chips going the way of Pablo. Adds his stack up to 1.6 million. Action on Brian under the gun with the 5s. Makes it 50k. Blinds are now up, guys. 10k, 25k with a 25k ante. Daniel decides to call in the hijack with King Queen. Working with 22 bigs. Ten, 6, 3 rainbow. 5's still good. Brian comes with half pot. Gets the job done. Clears out the 2 overs. action will be on Christopher under the gun. Getting very short, 8 big blinds. Of course, we'll have to pay 50k in the big. Desperately hoping to pick up something playable. Does find an ace, but the ace deuce. Very disappointing side card. See the grimace, lets it go. Round to Barry in the small. Makes it 60k. Brian does have him dominated. Ace 8. Is going to defend. Queen 6-5. Real feature of Barry's play has been how aggressive he has been post with c-bets. Another example of it there. Gets a better hand to fold yet again. Real example of how aggression pays in No Limit. Relentless from Barry post. Gets the best hand to fold. We have a dealer change on the feature. Cards back in the air. Colm Higgins in first position. Working with around about 20 bigs. Do have a misdeal. Try that one more time. Colm in first position. Let's go. Round to Johnny. Does have Queen 8 suited, but 10 bigs. Sides against it. Barry once more waking up with an ace. Course gonna open. Makes it 65k. Christopher here on the real short stack. Does have 10-6 suited. Feature of Barry's large opens here, forcing us to commit almost a third of our remaining chips. Christopher desperately looking to flop some equity. That's about as bad as it gets. Ace, king, king. Barry just blasting away, sets him in. Christopher on the ventilator, 4 big blinds left. Gonna need a lot of help to spin up his short stack. As they say, chip in a chair, never over in No Limit Texas.
Players, you are on a break. We are chip racing 100 chips. That is the black chips. Can you please make sure you push them to the
Round to Johnny. Interesting spot. Queen Jack, 10 bigs. Certainly some potential for a min raise here. Something you don't see too much of in the live low stakes streets, but could make this 50k. Try and steal one. Does decide to fold. Barry continues to mash the table. 65k. It is the Barry Moore show. Cards back in the air. Folds around to Johnny, under the gun 1. Lets it go. Barry here continues the aggression. Wakes up with a real hand this time. Ace Queen. And here we go. Christopher has decided to draw a line in the sand. He's gonna get the bad news. He is dominated. Queen Jack against the Ace Queen of Barry. I'm gonna need help. He is gonna be out in 24th. Drawing to just 3 jacks. No help so far. Ace Queen still good for Barry. Christopher gonna need to find a jack, and he does drill it on the turn. Although it is the Jack of Hearts, needs to fade an ace, a heart or a 10. The 3 of Hearts arrives on the river. Barry rivers the flush. And Christopher is eliminated in 24th. GG, sir. Good run here in the IPO main. Barry Moore continues to crush. Up to 2.5 million. 100 bigs. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Very dangerous, aggressive player, and he has all the chips. Unlucky for Christopher there. Difficult to be too critical. 3.5 bigs against an extremely aggressive opener. Decided to run it with Queen Jack. No good for him. You're down to 23 here in the main. Guys, if you are just joining on YouTube, or if you've been watching throughout, welcome along. I am Andrew Headley, commentator here in Dublin at the Bonnington International Poker Open 2023 main event. And coverage will conclude tomorrow. I will be here once again. I'll be taking you through all the way to crowning our champion. As Barry finally finds a hand he doesn't want to play. And it's a well-timed fold because Brian wakes up with Ace Queen behind. Raises to 50k. Gets it through pre. We see Johnny and Barry return to the table. Johnny now at the table short stack after the demise of Christopher. Pablo under the gun, lets it go. Folds around two column Higgins. Ace 6. Does let it go. Limped in from John. Very interesting here. Oh, limps the 6s, and Johnny's found 7s. Sends it in, and he is going to be in great shape. No way that John is ever going to fold pocket 6s here. 9 big blinds. Was somewhat surprised not to see him just shove pre. With the 6s, Johnny is going to be in dream shape here. 4-1 favorite. Of course, John makes the call. Very much a cooler situation here, blind on blind. Patience paying off for Johnny if he can dodge one of the remaining 6s. Beautiful spot for him. Ace 4 deuce. 7's still good. Turn is a 4. No help. Johnny's going to double if he can fade one of the remaining 6s, and he has done so. King of Hearts on the river. Beautiful result for Johnny McCulloch. Finds the full double. 465k just in the nick of time. Very unfortunate there for John. Of course, I would be inclined to think that 6s is going to be good almost always blind on blind. Nice hold for Johnny. We continue on here on the feature. Action back on our resident buzzsaw, Barry Moore under the gun. Does let it go. Folds around to Johnny in the small. Wakes up with the suited king 3. Working with 18 big blinds. Typically is gonna limp. Does do so. Pablo here with another junky hand in the big. Again, declines the option to isolate with trash. Checks it back. Johnny flops big. King high flush draw on queen 10-6. Action does go check check. Pablo improving to a double gut shot. Very interesting turn. Johnny now gonna announce himself. Comes in for pot. This sizing should actually shake Pablo. Very intelligent sizing from Johnny. Gonna put max pressure on hand like a 9 or a 6. Of course, getting his opponent to fold. A double gut shot can never be bad with just king high. Takes it down. Continues to navigate the short stack. Folds around to Daniel in the hijack. Does raise to 60k. Don't know what he has. John with the ace queen, quick 3-bet. Makes it 175k to go. Clearly deciding to 3-bet call. Daniel lets this one go. Don't know what he had. John continuing his upward trajectory to 1.8 million in chips. As you can see, 7-handed here at the feature. We are down to 23. Make that 22. 2 tables of 7 and a table of 8 out in the main room. Players are going to play, guys. 5 more levels. Make that 4 now. Or down to the final table of 9. Whichever comes quickest. Of course, that will conclude tomorrow here. Live from the Bonnington in Dublin. Daniel gonna try again here. Mixes in a limp with the king 10 off. Not something you would typically see, especially this deep. Does allow Barry to complete from the small. Brian now with the decision. Pocket 7's in the big blind. Looks like he wants to run this one. Makes it 125k. Sensing weakness in the limp from Daniel. Unfortunately for him, has to let it go. And Barry, wow, he's gonna call. We know his style, extremely aggressive. Decides to call the 5x from the big with just 5 high. Flop is king, queen, 8, all clubs. 4 of hearts turn, and you know what happens if you give Barry the green light. Normally tries to charge through the door. We can see this is probably gonna work. Does bet 200,000. Gotta hand it to him. Relentless aggression, and gets the best hand to fold once again. Incredible work from Barry, making a lot of the better hands fold. Does call with 3-5 suited and gets the job done on the 3 club 2 Broadway board. Back on Daniel. Lets it go. Round to 2 Johnny. Pablo now, been quiet at the feature so far. Wakes up with a real hand, pocket 10s. Makes it 55k. Brian with the decision. Quickly folds deuces. And Column on the short stack of his own, working with around about 15 bigs. Does defend queen 8 suited. 145k in the middle. Wow, flops top and bottom. Queen jack 8. Pablo here with a good hand to check back. Does decide to do so. 4 of spades on the turn. Double flush draw. Column now likely gonna size turn to set up river all-ins. Sides on 60k. Round about 40%. Pablo here with a gut shot. And a pair of 10s, of course, a little too strong to fold. Does make the call. River is the 7 of diamonds, so column still best. Working with just over pot. You can see the wheels turning. Pablo, up to this point, has represented a hand that has showdown. Column correctly recognizing it, does shove. Targeting calls from a hand like Ace-Jack. Like pocket 10s, hands that could potentially hero. Of course, this third diamond flush completer. 2 overcards on the board to the pair of 10s. Pablo left with just a bluff catcher. Is running the potential value and bluff combos through his head as he puffs his cheeks. I think theoretically we want to fold this one, obviously blocking potential bluffs like a king 10. Does let it go. Not enough bluffs in column's range. Pablo makes the right fold. Much needed chip up for column.
Players on the chip raise, your tournament will restart in about 3 minutes. You're welcome.
Action back on John under the gun. Folds around to the button. Now round to column. Does decide to just send it here with 9-10 suited into the short stack. On wow, he has run straight into the buzzsaw. Absolutely disastrous spot for column. Very unfortunate. 13 big blinds effective. Runs 9-10 of hearts into the pocket 10s of Daniel. Gets it in about as bad as he can. Does flop middle pair and backdoor straight and flush draws. Very safe turn for Daniel. Just needs to fade one of the remaining 9s. Does do so. Big double up for Daniel. Very unfortunate for column. 9-10 of hearts, of course, going to be more than good enough to shove from the small for 13 bigs. Runs into the absolutely dominating 10s. Daniel up to 700k. Column now on the short stack. Action will be on Johnny McCullough. Working with 21 bigs. Folds around to the cutoff. Brian gets out of the way. Small blind, Daniel does complete. Jack 9 of hearts. John content to check with 6-7. Both catch a piece. Middle pair for Daniel, bottom pair for John. John gonna start firing. Daniel, of course, here with a pretty simple check call. Wow! Not expected to see it. Very surprising, Daniel giving up the 9 to 1 bet. Certainly too tight. Very surprising. Perhaps still reveling in that double up and doesn't want to put any further chips at risk. Super surprised to see it. As Pablo under the gun with ace-8, lets it go. Barry, pocket threes. Continues his aggression. 65k to go. Folds around to the blinds. Johnny in the big. 5 deuce suited. Again, a feature of Barry's game, these large open sizings. Close to 3x. Certainly makes a hand like deuce 5 shrink. Johnny, very experienced, aware that he shouldn't be defending, does let it go. Of course, a feature of tournament poker. Earlier in the tournament, we do want to defend lots of these suited connectory type hands. And now down to kind of 2% left of the field. These weaker suited hands, like a deuce 5, like a 10-3 suited, should be ditched. Johnny, of course, correctly follows the theory, lets it go. Folds round to John, and he is woken up with the big dog. Pocket aces. Makes it 65k to go. And wow, what big cooler in progress. Danger Will Robinson, Pablo, ace queen of diamonds. And this is going to be very painful. Counts out the 3-bet. Could be disaster for him. 50 bigs effective. Now, can John find the slow play? Would love to see it. In position here, of course, with aces. Does look like he's gonna 4-bet though. Perhaps thinks that Pablo will be very value heavy, which is fair enough assumption to make. Down to 22 here in the main. And Pablo, very dangerous waters ahead. Makes it 210k pre. John, though, with a big 4-bet, 600,000. Bigger, in fact, 665k. As you see Pablo with the raise of the eyebrows. And this would be a very, very strong fold if you can get away from it. Would have liked to see John take a little more time to act. You know, absolutely snap 4-bet and half of your opponent's stack. Seems unlikely that they're going to be too light. And Pablo, bravo to you, sir. Pretty quickly ditching ace queen of diamonds. believe he showed him the aces, or at least one of them. Kudos to you, Pablo. Maintains his tournament life. John picks it up, but perhaps a missed opportunity. Perhaps a little timing tell there. Very eager to immediately four-ball. Pablo gonna be thrilled. Not sure if John showed both aces, but if he did, Pablo feeling like $1 million, gets away from it, maintains his stack of 1.1 mil. Gotta be a great feeling to get away from such a premium hand, big blind versus button. As we see John opening again to 60k in the cutoff with a blind hand. Does take it down pre. Action back on column, now on the short stack after the unfortunate running of 9-10 suited into 10s in the blinds. Of course, very aware that he needs to get busy. And what a time to find ace king. 9.5 bigs. Colum Higgins is all in. Here we go, John with a potential calling hand. Ace 10 off in the hijack. Very close decision here. Of course, aware that Colum is very experienced. Is going to shove with some worse hands for sure. John does get away from it though. Good fold. Round to Barry Moore in the small. Colum is going to get this one through. Probably be somewhat disappointed not to get looked up. Of course, desperately needs to double. Colum with 141k in lifetime live earnings. Has a live cash of $82,000. Looking to add to that tally this week here in the main. Guys, 22 left. Winner this week will take home 45,000 euros. Not too shabby for a 350 euro buy-in. Action gonna be on Daniel O'Herlihy. He in fact bagged up the chip lead after day 1A. Still in contention here for the IPO title. Action folds around to Johnny McCullough. Let's go. Pablo with the AC Deucey. Barry, excuse me, Barry opening the button with ace 4. Colum content to let Jack 8 go. Barry continues to chip up towards 3 million.
once you finish the cards running off, players, you are on break. We are chip racing 100 chips. That's the black chips. Can you please make sure you push them to the front of your stack before you walk away? And then you use them to clear the complete chip race. Once again, players in the chip race, you are now on the 20-minute break. Complete the chip race. Beautiful players will be on the double chance. You are now on a break. Beautiful players will be on double chance. Once you finish the cards in the draw, players will be 20-minute break. You can do more than this.
We see the action folding round to Pablo, fresh off making that fantastic fold with ace queen, opening the hijack with sevens. Is going to take this one down. No action from the blinds. Of course, guys, we are at the business end now of this main event. 3 tables left. 22 players remaining. Of course, every decision now magnified. This is where professional poker players make their money. All the hard work of the previous day's grind coming down to these final few tables. Pablo again with an openable hand. 55k with the ace jack. Does again take it down pre. Continue to hear the murmurs in the Bonnington behind me. Place is bouncing. Great week here at the IPO. Still 4 consecutive tournaments running on the tournament floor. Tomorrow we will have the final day of the €550 Leslie McLean High Roller, along with our main event FT. Great to see grassroots Irish poker thriving. This is the IPO International Poker Open main event, guys. Day 2. I'm Andrew Headley, your commentator in the booth. IPO coming to you from the Bonnington in association with our partners Unibet Poker. As we see Colm Higgins decline to jam, ace-4 off in the cutoff, 10 bigs. Of course, going to be a chip EV shove, but last 3 tables. Gonna wait for a better spot. We can see he would have been crushed by Johnny's ace-queen. Has played extremely well here, Colm. Unfortunate cooler in the blinds aside. Looking to find a spot to spin it up. As Daniel wakes up with a big hand, ace-king in the cutoff. Comes in for a 3x. Does just clear out the hands behind. It's been a feature of this feature. Lots of larger open sizings that you don't typically see. We see Brian under the gun with the King Jack. He's going to come in for an open. Makes it 50k to go. Column now with the ace-jack. Quickly sends it. Not perturbed by the first position raise. Does ship it in there for 10 bigs. Recognizing that the blinds are hunting him. As Pablo fist pumps at the table. Maybe he's just been told that the guy had aces. In any case, Brian now at 250k shove from column. That king-jack will quickly shrink up. It'd be a very bad time to gamble. Does make the right decision. Gets away from it. As column continues to fight and scrap in the trenches. Keeping himself alive. You see our head floorman Luis there, colouring up some of the 5Ks. And then Barry Moore, a big old tower of silvers.
Okay, dears and players in our high roller, your blinds are 600, 1200, 1200, shuffle up and deal. Players just confirm
Action folds round to Johnny, gets out of the way. Pablo on the button. With the jack-6 of hearts. He's going to come in for a min to 50k. You never quite know what Barry's going to do. Does decide to call with the 9-7. Brian dominating both players with the jack-9 of clubs. He is also into the mixer. Ace 5-6. Pablo does flop middle pair. Does check to him. Gonna come in for a small bet. Now Barry Moore, we never know quite what he's gonna do. It has a gut shot. He's gonna make the call. 45k from Pablo. Like the sizing. Gonna go very small here, multi-way. And Barry Moore out draws him on the turn. 9 on the turn for Barry. Turn goes check, check. River is a queen of spades. Likely an action killer. They do check it down, and Barry takes it with the 9. Rueful shake of the head from Pablo. Nobody at this table quite able to figure out Barry Moore. Hard not to be impressed by how he has proceeded at this feature. Naked aggression combined with some very tricky random spots. Very tough to play. Continues to chip up. Pablo with another little shake of the head. Sometimes feel the world's against you. We've all been there. Did make that magnificent ace queen of diamonds fold just an orbit or two ago against the aces of John. Still well in contention here. 1.1 million in front of him. As Barry continues the assault, wakes up with a premium. Pocket 9s on the button. Column with the frustrated fold. Deuce 3 off. Not going to get it done. Hand 32 here on our feature table. Daniel takes the walk.
Lines up next hand, folks, 15:30.
So we see the action on Pablo. Ace-8 of clubs, under the gun 1. Does raise for 55k. Round to column, interesting spot. King Queen on the button is facing an early position raise, and he's going to send it. We can see the timing pretty good. Very frustrating this for Pablo. Likely going to lay this down. Facing a 12 big blind shove. Ace-8 going to shrink up. Very nicely timed jam here from column. You can see the frustration on Pablo. Understandably so. Typically here, facing a 12 big blind rejam, gonna be crushed a lot here with just Ace-8. From these seat positions. Of course, gonna be frustrating. Wow, he makes the gamble call. Pablo, perhaps, with a little bit of frustration, does flick it in. And he is gonna be up against one of the hands he does well against, King Queen of column Higgins. Gonna need to get there. 9-4-4, Ace-8 still holding. 3 of diamonds on the turn, no help to column Higgins. Drawing to 6 outs, or he is going to be gone. And the river is an 8. And we say GG to column Higgins. A great performance from the man. Little unfortunate. Couple of all-in hands didn't go his way. First the 9-10 of hearts into 10s. And then the King Queen couldn't get Pablo off the Ace-8 of clubs. GG column, good run. Nice pickup for Pablo. And we are down to 21. Big hold there for Pablo after a rough couple of orbits. Cards back in the air. We are 6-handed here on the feature. Hand 34 of this streamed table. 1530k, guys, with a 30k ante. We have finally reached the moment where the big blind is equal to the start stack of the tournament. On 1A, guys, of the main. Players had 30k. Now that is only worth 1 big blind. As we fold around to Daniel O'Herlihy on the button. Has raised, looks like 85k. Come for a large open sizing once more. Johnny caps his cards. Yet to see what he has. We can see if he does send it here, he's going to get snapped. Oh, very awkward. Has the Ace-9 off. Extremely awkward spot here for Johnny, working with 13 bigs. A lot of this comes down to his perception of Daniel. How he constructs this 3 big blind open. Sometimes players can look as if they're just trying to take it down pre. Johnny in consultation with Daniel. Makes me think he's going to lay this one down. Trying to get a read. Using his experience here. It'd be very smart to do so for anyone unfamiliar with live poker. Talk to your opponent. Try and gauge how strong they are. Johnny's still in the tank. Be a very high-class fold if he can make it. Working with just 13 bigs against the button open. Back into the tank he goes. Of course, every decision here critical. 20 players left. Seems to have changed his mind here several times. And he does put it in. Changed his mind and back to the wrong decision, unfortunately for Johnny. Sends it with ace-9. He is in bad shape here against Daniel O'Herlihy. Gonna have to find one of the remaining aces in the deck. Or some kind of 4-flush or straight. Thought he was gonna get away from it. Needs help. And right in the window, the 10 of hearts, followed by the ace of diamonds as Johnny walks away from the table, drawing dead. 1% on the flop. Unlucky to Johnny. Good run here in the main. Flopped basically dead. Couldn't get away from the ace-9. Daniel chips up over $1 million. We say goodbye to Johnny. Good run, sir. Sure, we will be seeing you again here at the IPO. We are down to 20, folks. Maybe even less. 19 remain in the main event. We see the floor staff look to balance the tables. We're down to 19. Of course, going to result in 2 tables of 6 and 1 table of 7. The experienced floor staff here in the Bonnington. Not going to have cards in the air when the table is short of a player. Very short break in play whilst the tables are balanced.
where's your big blind?
As we see Luis bring over our new player, and it is Colum Chan. Young beast, wizard of the felt. Colum, extremely proficient young player. Made several deep runs in the World Series main event, as I understand it. Did see him on the feature table a few times over day 1 and 2. Very strong player. You see the graphic, guys, in the top right of the screen. 18 players remaining in the main. It's business time now as we approach the final table. Will it be a table redraw at 16? So we wait for the green light to continue. This is, guys, anybody just join in, International Poker Open main event day 2 coverage at the Bonnington in association with our partners Unibet. Guys, anybody with interest in the online streets, Unibet's online poker series begun today. 1 million euros in guarantees, 4 separate leaderboards covering the low, medium and high buy-ins. Well worth getting involved. One of the best value promos online. Encourage you to check it out on Unibet Poker. This action folds round to Barry Moore. It's been close to note perfect today. Once more, it comes in for an open, makes it 70k. $75, excuse me. And here we go, right off the bat. Colum with pocket nines. 23 big blinds. Would not be surprised to see him send this. Nines, one of the hands that does benefit from just shoving pre. Nines and tens specifically. Happy to deny any equity to the opener. I do expect to see Colum jam, and of course, experienced player does exactly that. It's all in 730,000. You never quite know with Barry. He does let this one go though. Nice pickup for Colum. Going to be a very dangerous player. Knows his ranges, knows just what to do on this sort of 20 to 25 big blind stack. Takes that one down pre, avoids the flip. Guys, as we enter the last sort of 45 minutes of coverage, players today are going to play down close to the final table. After we go off air, they will play 2 more levels, and they will finish play at the end of those 2 levels, or when they reach the final table, whichever comes first. And I will be back tomorrow to give you guys live coverage of the final knockings of this year's edition of the IPO. As we see Brian ship all in from the hijack, shade over 15 bigs, ace-8 of hearts. Does get it through. Of course, every pot now extremely valuable. 75k available to collect in the blinds and antes. Another dealer change here on our feature. Cards back in the air. Six-handed here. Action folds around to the cutoff. John comes in for a raise. I believe he is raised with deuces. Did see the graphic disappear. Barry gonna defend with the 8-6. Yeah, John in the cutoff. Ignore those graphics. Pocket deuces, I believe, is the holding. 9-8-7. Barry flopping second pair and an open-ender. Does decide to lead. Bet 75k. Quickly called by John. Turn is a 10. Barry improving to a straight. Here we go. John is going to fire. Could be wrong, but I think he did have deuces. Going to turn him into a bluff. Barry, of course, not going to fold the turn with the low end of the straight. Wow, is he gonna? Would be surprised to see it. From what we know of Barry, not a folder. Does make the call. Couple of live tells in the mix, looking uncomfortable visibly. Could be a little bit of gamesmanship from Barry if he's trying to induce. Here comes John. That's 350k. Not perturbed. Apologies if the graphics are incorrect. I'm sure I saw deuces flash up. Daniel is the player to John's immediate right. He is not in there here, so John does not have 8-6. Barry with the low end of the straight. In the tank here. Of course, would lose to any jack. Of all the players, though, not to bluff, Barry would be very high up my list. Did hear Dara O'Kearney talk about the hand funeral where we dwell and lay it down, but Barry not a folder, and it is the deuces. Thankfully I'm on my game. Did recognize that John had deuces. Seems like a very reasonable bluff, trying to get Barry to fold a hand like a 9. Almost got him to fold a 6, but couldn't get it through. Barry Moore, what a performance on this feature table. All going his way. Very likely the overall tournament chip leader. I believe that pot takes him over 3 million. Unfortunate for John, couldn't get it through. A little bit of confusion here at the feature table. Column Chan in your screen in consultation with the dealer. Not too sure what's going on. Seem to be taking some inventory on the chip stacks. Cards are now back in the air, folded round to Barry. Does complete in the small with the King 6. Brian pumps it in there, as he should. Ace 10 off. Sends it in for 14 bigs. Barry's timing really has been perfect. Seen him raising a lot of hands out of the small. Limps that one. Gets away cheap. John here with an open 280k. Column Chan in the hijack, very interesting decision. Pocket nines, working with 27 bigs. Really awkward spot here, six-handed. Do you have a sort of middling holding? Feels like a little too much to shove. Don't want a 3-bet fold, don't want a 3-bet call. Column decides to call in position. I think it makes sense out of the available options. A little consultation here at the table. I was informed here by my wonderful backstage team. Column thought that the raise was 280k. In fact, John said he meant to make it 90. And Column now, of course, is going to change his decision. Going to have at least some impact. So if John meant to make it 90, Column thought he said 80k. Floor has been called. So we are waiting for a ruling. May seem like a small difference, but can be a subtlety that changes the action. So Floor in consultation with the dealer, explaining the situation that John meant to make it 90k, not 80. Column questioning that and calling the floor. So the floor has ruled that 80k will stand. So now we will see a flop. 80k is the official ruling, not 90. Very interesting. It can be the type of interaction that can get under your skin. Flop is 333. John decides to continue. Bet 70k. There's little nuances in poker. Colin thinking to himself, why is my opponent so upset that he couldn't make it bigger? Is that a sign of weakness? In any case, pocket nines not going anywhere on the flop. Does flop a full house. Very interesting. Now Colin clicks it. Makes it 170. And John decides just to let it go. Shake of the head. Very confusing hand for both players. Colin makes it work, picks up the pot and gets himself to 1 million. And just to let you guys know now, we are down to 16 players. It's time for the final two-table redraw. We'll take a very short break, guys. Stay with me for continued live coverage of the International Poker Open as we continue the journey to the final table. Final two-table redraw, guys. Back in a couple of minutes.
Get on rack. Give me your chip counts, please. Go ahead and get your chip counts for me, folks. what's your chip count? Yeah, I need all your chip count. Sure. This is table 1. Okay. Chip counts, gentlemen. 30. What's your chip count? 475? I'm not sure. I'll tell you right there. No, but I'll find out. 735. Darren, right? Yeah. Let's chip down. Chip count? 30. Joel, what's your chip count? 4. All right, gentlemen. Need those racks? If you got electronic devices, put it in the bin over there. Where's the button, Juliana? 4. Dealers, buttons in seat 4. Lines are 15, 30, 30. Shuffle up and deal.
All right, guys, final 2 table redraw is complete. We are very close now, guys. 16 players remaining in the IPO main event as we see Pablo with the ace-10 of hearts opening 260k. Gets this one through. So guys, last sort of 30 minutes or so of our coverage here in the booth. After we go off air, the remaining players will play another 2 levels as they approach the final table. Play will then finish for the day, either after 2 further levels or when we reach the final table, whichever comes soonest. Hope you're all enjoying the coverage, guys, on YouTube. Thank you for coming along. I'm Andrew Headley, your commentator here at the Bonnington in Dublin, coming to you on a 30-minute delay to protect the integrity of the game as we see Harry folding jack-8 suited under the gun. Nice spin up for him, was on the feature earlier on the short stack, up to 1.5 million now. Good for 50 bigs. Blinds 1530k with a 30k ante. As we see Darren did have 2 million at one stage, down to 720k. He's gonna send it here from the button for 24 bigs. Gets this one through. Looks to rebound. Things have not gone his way off the feature. Cards back in the air. Action on Pablo under the gun. Folds the king 3. Joel with the 10-8 suited. 24 bigs, of course, exercising caution. As we approach the final table, gonna want to be pretty tight with that stack size. We see Brian wakes up with aces on the button. 13.5 bigs. Decides just to jam it in there. Not a big fan of this personally. You know, still you would like to get action from the blinds. Still gonna have some min-raise fold potential off sort of 13, 14 bigs. We could see the blinds didn't wake up with anything regardless, but would have liked to see just a min-raise there. Even a potential limp. In any case, it takes down the blinds and antes. Got to be a little frustrated on the short stack. Wake up with aces, get no action. You see the stacks in play. Barry Moore with 3.3 million. Richard in C8. 4.3 million in chips. Gotta be good for the tournament chip lead. As Richard raising on the button, Queen 5 of spades. 4.2 million. First time we've seen Richard on the feature. Been doing some good work. It's Pablo with the ace 6. Couple of options available here. Some potential to use this hand as a 3-bet bluff. Of course, perfectly fine just to defend. Does do so. We'll see players occasionally use these ace low offsuits as a 3-bet bluff, because they don't particularly play well post. Richard outflopping Pablo, flops 2 pair. King 5. Should be seeing a bunch of sort of 25% to 30% pot. Does come with 50k. Pablo not able to fold his ace high just yet. Does make the call. Does turn an ace. Improves to top 2. Richard here in position. Would expect him to check here. Not too sure about this one. Your opponent gonna have a bunch of ace highs to go with some king X. Does decide to bet. Perhaps targeting some other 5x. Not too sure what bet in the turn achieves though. Does river a queen. Decides to take his showdown. It's going to be a nice pickup for Pablo. to see our final two table lineup. Barry Moore, who put on a clinic on our feature of aggression in seat 4. Darren Harbinson, Irish Poker Tour Team Pro in seat 5. Pablo in seat 1, who made that very nice ace queen of diamonds 3-bet fold. Richard with the chip lead in seat 7. Action folds around to Desmond, excuse me. Round to Darren. Lets it go. Richard now with the deuces in the cutoff. Opens to 60k. Pablo and Richard set to tangle again. Ace 10 for Pablo. Again elects just to call. And Joel now with ace jack. Very nice squeeze opportunity here. 22 bigs behind. Would like to see a shove. Joel very aware. Like this a lot. All in for 700k. Looks to pick up 150 to 180k in dead money. We can see this is likely gonna work. Don't think Richard can call here with deuces. Bit more of a decision for Pablo. Of course, when you flat out of the small blind, ace 10, gonna be quite high up your small blind flat call range. Joel, you know, aggressive players can find a squeeze shove here with worse than ace 10. Gonna be some king queen suited, queen jack suited types in there. Some low pairs and perhaps some suited ace x. Very difficult spot now for Pablo. Really comes down to who your opponent is in the big blind. Does shake his head. Very close spot. Of course, very under-repped here in the small. Arguably close to the top of his small blind call range. And we can see he's in terrible shape. Does ask for a count. Doesn't like it. Did see him make a light call earlier with ace 8 suited. Makes the right fold. Good discipline from Pablo. Joel picks it up uncontested.
All right, tournament players, if you're involved in that main event, those final two tables, you're more than welcome to go ahead and start making your way back to your tournament area at this time. If you were on the featured table, your table has been moved. You are now table number 4 in the corner. Once again, tournament players, excuse me, table number 3 in the corner. Once again, players in the main event, final two tables.
Action back on Barry under the gun. Pocket queens. Of course, has an extremely aggressive image. Another feature of how Barry has approached these these feature tables comes for a big open size, 110k. And wow, Darren Harbinson, trouble ahead. Against an aggressive player like Barry, pocket 10s, monstrous hand. Sitting there with 26 bigs. Barry with this very big open 4x. Yeah, very tough to fault Darren for shipping this in. And we can see he's going to be in horrific shape here. Massive pot brewing here, guys. Approaching the final table. Going to be a pot of 1.7 million when Barry makes this call. Such an unpredictable player, Barry. is likely to wake up with a marginal hand as a premium. Darren sends it right into the ladies. He is in dire shape, needs help. Gotta find one of the remaining 10s in the deck or he is gonna be gone. Flop is 10, 9, 8. Darren Harbinson flops top set. Gut shot and straight draws for Barry, but it's quads on the turn. The daily quads for Darren Harbinson. And what a time to initiate run good. Finds the two outer on the flop and improves to quads. Huge sigh of relief for Darren. Doubles up. Back to 1.7 million. Good for a shade under 60 bigs. Very unfortunate there for Barry. It would have been up to 4.2 million. Darren Harbinson just in time makes the daily quads. What a hand. Drama here deep on day 2 of the main. Darren stays alive and we are still 16 players remaining. Seen some insane hands here on the feature. Earlier on, we did see Barry make the royal flush against the nut full house. Get fully paid, this time on the wrong end of the run out. Incredible stuff. As I say, guys, last 15 minutes or so of our day 2 coverage. Hope you've enjoyed it. The action has been fast and furious. We will be back tomorrow afternoon as we approach the final table here in Dublin. Cards back in the air. Darren folding under the gun. Action round to, looks like Harry. Richie, Richard, who I'm reliably informed, goes by Richie. Lays down the king 8. Harry with a premium, ace queen in the hijack. Folds round to Joel. Gonna get out of the way. Desmond elects to fold the suited ace. And Barry, you never quite know what he's gonna do. 10-5 off. Most players have already folded. Incredibly fun player to cover. Counting out a 3-bet. Barry Moore, completely undeterred. Makes it 2-2-5 to go. So unpredictable. And Harry here with a big hand, ace queen. 50 bigs or so effective. I think typically here we do want to just call in position. Keep in some of the lighter bluffs of Barry. Certainly a few different options are open to him. Folding out of the question, I would say, against an aggressive player. Harry content to call. 500k in the middle. Barry here getting out of line. Perhaps a little tilted by the quads run out. We have seen him make these spots work before. He is gonna lace this flop. Comes with half pot. Looks like a shade over. Does bet 240k. Of course, easy for us to say in the booth, but ace queen, a little too strong to fold, but Harry does lay it down. And Barry Moore, you have to hand it to him. Once more, turning water into wine. Such an unpredictable, difficult playing style to combat. Gotta say, it's a lot of fun to watch him. A little bit of a tight laydown from Harry, but is difficult to navigate this spot. Final two tables. End up with pot behind if you make the call. As Brian folds the 8-9, Richie with the king-queen suited comes in for the min to 60k. Folds around. Folds round to Darren Harbinson. Two beautiful looking suited broadways. Ace 10 of clubs. Of course, never folding. Decides just to complete. Off to the flop. And wow, action brewing. King 3-8 with two clubs. Strong top pair for Richard. Darren with the nut flush draw. Richie decides to c-bet 1/3. Just a shade over. Darren here content just to call. With the nut flush draw. Queen on the turn, top two for Richie. Darren now drawing two Broadway as well as the nut flush. Double flush draw turn, would expect Richie to size up here. Does go for 40%. Darren with a very easy check call. Big river coming, and here it is. Darren rivers the nut flush. Does quickly check. Awkward spot now for Richie. Could be inclined to go for value. Gonna get called by some worse King X. Bets 200k. Darren quickly calls. Interesting hand. Would have liked to seen a little bit more time taken on the river. Certainly some potential for Darren to check raise. Is content to just call. You know, as we delve a little more into theory, would have liked to see Richie size up this turn. Double flush draw board. Do have top two pair, unblocking all of those draws, all of the nut flush draws. Even a hand like King X of diamonds on the turn is going to find it impossible to fold for a large size in. And a hand like Ace 10 of clubs or Jack 10 of clubs are going to have to call a big bomb. Did allow Darren to get to the river pretty cheap. Also on the river, Darren did have the opportunity to consider river check raise. You know, is Richie gonna bet 40% on the river with a full house? Probably not. In any case, nice pickup for Darren. Recovering, was down to 800k, back up above 2 million. So we see Desmond opening the cutoff. 125k. Large sizing once more. Actually believe that was No, excuse me, was not John, was indeed Desmond. As we approach, guys, last 10 minutes or so of coverage. Harry under the gun, lets it go. Round 2, Barry in the cutoff with the 8-6 of spades. Makes it 95k. Feature of his play, these large opens. Darren decides to fold. Certainly could have considered calling with the pocket threes. 70 bigs deep against an aggressive player. Flopping a set really could pay dividends. Does decide to fold though.
All right, dealers, complete the hand you're on. Players, 20-minute break. 20-minute break.
That, guys, is the last hand of our coverage here on day 2. IPO down to 16 players. Guys, that is us for today. Hope to see you tomorrow. I will be back in the booth 1 p.m. We will be down to the final table or very close to it. Hope to see you then, guys. Come and join me tomorrow 1 p.m. where we will be finished on the way to crowning a champion at the International Poker Open here in Dublin. See you tomorrow. Good night.